Let's speak to Obaidullah Baheer about this. He's a lecturer of peace and conflict mediation at Cardan University and is joining us via Skype from Kabul. Thank you so much for being on Al Jazeera once again. So, as we know, the Afghan peace process has been a very thorny one, and now Russia is involved with these talks in Russia. Do you see things moving forward and producing a tangible result? And both sides right now saying that things are off to a good start. Can they be progress in Russia?
First off, I think whatever happened in Russia was more symbolic in nature. It was meant to jumpstart the talks and get out of the stalemate that we had seen in the past few months. The idea is that we didn't discuss a lot of technicalities, nor did we actually get into the details of what the future political order is going to look like in Afghanistan. But it's important to see a lot of relevant players sitting on the table and actually showing their support for this process and the urgency and need for reaching a peaceful settlement.
Apologies, we seem to have lost our Skype connection with our guest in Kabul. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
Yes, apologies for that. We lost you there for a brief moment. We were talking about whether there was some hope that these talks in Russia could finally lead to some movement, because the peace process, of course, has been stalled for some time now. Are you hopeful that the meetings in Russia can kickstart things again?
I'm not hopeful. Though the talks in Russia are more symbolic in nature, if you've noticed, we didn't get to talk about technicalities or what the future political order was going to look like, or even touch upon the draft peace proposal. But it is important to see all these vital players sitting on the same table, showing their intent towards the peace talk and the urgency needed to get out of the stalemate. So again, it's an important jumpstart that this peace talks needed.
Right. Russia, which fought a 10-year war in Afghanistan that ended with the Soviet troops withdrawing in 1989, they've been trying to make a diplomatic comeback as a mediator in Afghanistan, not just recently, but for some time now. What do you think is their motivation ultimately, and what can the Russians bring to the table that the others, the Americans and others, haven't been able to?
Well, there's an optimistic way and a pessimistic way of looking at this. So optimistically, we've always seen the Democratic Party within the U.S. believing in regional cooperation. With Russia being an important actor within the region, it's good to bring them on board. On the second end, even though the Russians and the U.S. don't see eye to eye on a lot of issues right now, but it shows that they principally agree on the importance of peace talks, with Russia constantly reiterating the importance of the withdrawal as per the initial agreement. Pessimistically, we can see that the Russians getting involved, they're showing the scale of their influence within the Afghanistan conflict. It shows their influence internally within Afghanistan on the political parties within the government and the opposition. On the other end, it shows their involvement with the Taliban as well. Again, Russia might be subtly issuing a warning to the United States that if they are ignored in the peace talks or their interests are, that it could lead to a redo of what the Americans managed to do to the Russians within Afghanistan.
The deadline for the final withdrawal of U.S. and NATO troops from Afghanistan is approaching. Do you see it happening on time? And if not, what would that mean for the negotiations?
You'd see a lot of analysts saying that, and the Taliban have been very vocal on everything returning to point zero if the May deadline was not met. However, I think that it's a very tight deadline to entertain. Nothing can be resolved with regards to the future political order or an actual ceasefire within these 2 months. This is very limited time. And again, we are already at point zero with the intra-Afghan negotiations. So even if that happens, we will have to restart anyways. Maybe it leads to some bad faith between the Taliban and the United States, but it could be a risk worth taking.
Thank you for talking to us, Obaidullah Baheer, lecturer of peace and conflict mediation at Cardan University. Thank you for your time.